Sorry, I just muted everyone. Mute. Okay.
Rishi Guru Goranga Gandavika Giridhari Radha Vinobihari Ju Ki Jai Radha Govinda Ju Ki Jai Radha Raspi Hari Ju Ki Jai Nitya Leela Pravishtam Vishnupada Sutta Shri Srimad Srila Bhaktivedanta Narayan Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai Nitya Leela Pravishtam Vishnupada Sutta Shri Srimad Srila Bhaktivedanta Bharati Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai Nitya Leela Pravishtam Vishnupada Sutta Shri Srimad Srila Bhakti Vallabh Tirtha Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai Nitya Leela Pravishtam Vishnupada Sutta Shri Srimad Srila Bhaktivedanta Trivikram Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai Nitya Leela Pravishtam Vishnupada Sutta Shri Srimad Srila Bhaktivedanta Vaman Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai Nitya Leela Pravishtam Vishnupada Sutta Shri Srimad Srila Gaur Govinda Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai Nitya Leela Pravishtam Vishnupada Sutta Shri Srimad Srila Bhakti Vaibhav Puri Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai Nitya Leela Pravishtam Vishnupada Sutta Shri Srimad Srila Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai Nitya Leela Pravishtam Vishnupada Sutta Shri Srimad Srila Bhakti Raksha Shira Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai Nitya Leela Pravishtam Vishnupada Sutta Shri Srimad Srila Bhakti Daitav Madhav Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai Nitya Leela Pravishtam Vishnupada Sutta Shri Srimad Srila Bhakti Jivan Janardhan Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai Nitya Leela Pravishtam Vishnupada Sutta Shri Srimad Srila Bhakti Shri Siddhanti Maharaj Ki Jai Nitya Leela Pravishtam Vishnupada Sutta Shri Srimad Srila Bhakti Pramod Puri Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai Nitya Leela Pravishtam Vishnupada Sutta Shri Srimad Srila Bhakti Pragyan Keshav Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai Nitya Leela Pravishtam Vishnupada Sutta Shri Srimad Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Prabhupada Ki Jai Nitya Leela Pravishtam Paramahamsa Srila Gaur Kishore Das Babaji Maharaj Ki Jai Nitya Leela Pravishtam Satchidananda Srila Bhakti Vinod Thakur Ki Jai Nitya Leela Pravishtam Vaishnav Sarvabhauma Shri Jagannath Das Babaji Maharaj Ki Jai Shri Gauri Vedanta Chai Srila Baladev Vidya Bhushan Prabhu Ki Jai Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur Ki Jai Srila Narottama Srinivas Shamananda Prabhu Trai Ki Jai Srila Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami Ki Jai Shri Rup Sanatan Bhattu Raghunath Shri Jiva Gopal Bhatta Das Raghunath Sad Goswami Prabhu Ki Jai Shri Sarup Damodari Rai Ramandari Shri Gaur Prasad Avinda Ki Jai Namachar Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai Prem Se Kaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhaktavinda Ki Jai Shri Antadweep Maipo Simantadweep Kodrumadweep Majidweep Koladweep Uttadweep Janadweep Modadrumadweep Udvad Vipatmakashi Navadweep Dham Ki Jai Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gopa Gopi Go Govardhan Dwada Savanatmaka Shri Vraja-mandala Ki Jai Shri Shamakund Radhakund Jamuna Ganga Tulsi Bhakti Devi Ki Jai Shri Purnamasi Yogamaya Ki Jai Gopeshwara Mahadev Ki Jai Shri Jagannath Baladev Subhadra Ju Ki Jai Nrsimha Bhagavan Ki Jai Bhakta Pravesh Shri Prahlad Maharaj Ki Jai Charu Sampradaya Ki Jai Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam Ki Jai Shri Harinam Sankirtan Ki Jai Ananta Koti Vaishnav Vrinda Ki Jai Samagata Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai Nitai Gaura Premanandi Hari Hari Bom Srila Narottama dasa Thakura Ki Jai. Today we will sing Hari Hari Bipale Janama Goinu. It's on page 100 of the songbook. Hari Hari Vipale Janama Goinu Hari Hari Vipale Janama Goinu Manusya Janama Pahya Radha Krishna Nabhajiya Manusya Janama Pahya Radha Krishna Nabhajiya Janiya Suniya Visha Kahino आशा काहिनु हरे हरे विफले जन्म गाइनु हरे हरे विफले जन्म गाइनु गोलोकेर प्रेमाधना हरि नाम संकीर्तना गोलोकेर प्रेमाधना हरि नाम संकीर्तना रतिना जन्मिलो केनेता रतिना जन्मिलो केनेता संसार विषानले दीवानिशी हिया ज्वाले संसार विषानले दीवानिशी हिया ज्वाले जुराइते है ना कोई नो उपाय जुराइते है ना कोई नो उपाय हरे हरे विफले जन्म गाइनु हरे हरे विफले जन्म गाइनु ब्रजेन्द्रानंदना जय सची सुत होइलो से ब्रजेन्द्रानंदना जय सची सुत होइलो से बलराम होइलो निता बलराम होइलो निताय दिनहीन जाता छिलो हरि नामे उद्धारिलो दिनहीन जाता छिलो हरि नाम उद्धारिलो तार साक्षी जगद मदाय तार साक्षी जगाए मदाय हरे हरे विफले जन्म गाइनु हरे हरे विफले जन्म गाइनु हा प्रभु नन्ना सुता Vrishabhanusuta Jutta Ha Prabhu Nanasuta Vrishabhanusuta Jutta Karuna Karaha Hey Ba Karuna Karaha Hey Ba Narottama dasa Kai Nathe Leela Ranga Pai Narottama dasa Kai Nathe Leela Ranga Pai Tama bina ke achhe amar Tama bina ke achhe amar Hare Hare Vipale Janamagainu Hare Hare Vipale Janamagainu Jai Radhe Jai Krishna Jai Radhe Jai Shri Krishna Jai Radhe Jai Krishna Jai Radhe Jai Shri Krishna Jai Vrindavan Dham Jai Giri Govardhan Jai Vrindavan Dham Jai Giri Govardhan Jai Vrindavan Dham Jai Giri Govardhan Vrindavan Dham Jai Giri Govardhan Jai Gauranitai Jai Gauranitai Gauranitai Jai Gauranitai Jai Gauranitai Jai Gauranitai Gauranitai Jaya Gauranitai Jaya Hari Nama Jaya Hari Nama Hari Nama Jaya Hari Nama Jaya Hari Nama Jaya Hari Nama Hari Nama Jaya Hari Nama Thakur Narottama 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 Jaya Jaya Gurudev 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 Jaya Jaya Gurudev Jaya Jaya Gurudev 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 Jaya Jaya Gurudev Jaya Jaya Prabhupada 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Jaya Prabhupada 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada Nitai Gaura Hari Bol Hari Bol Hari Bol Gaura Hari Bol Nitai Gaura Hari Bol Hari Bol Hari Bol Nitai Gaura Hari Bol Nitai Gaura Premanandi Hari Hari Bol.
Beautiful.
Very well. Thank you for your kirtan. I think that's Srila Prabhupada, Srila Swami Prabhupada's favorite kirtan. I might be wrong, but I think I read that somehow. You're nodding your head, so I'm not wrong. Okay, that's reassuring. Thank you. It's such a nice kirtan. I haven't heard it in a long time as well. So nice to hear. Thank you so much. You were meant to be doing a double header, the start and finish, but apparently you have a work meeting. So I got a message from Ramananda saying that he is taking over at the end. So if anyone was excited to hear 2 kirtans from Radhika, I've got some disappointing news for you all. Anyway, Om Gyana Timarandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurin Militam Jena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Before beginning, I'd like to offer, sorry Ramananda, before I begin, I'd like to offer my apologies to Ramananda. I love your kirtan. That was just a joke. I'd like to offer my Dandavat pranams millions of times to the lotus feet of my beloved Diksha Guru, Srila Bhaktivedanta Goswami Maharaj, to the lotus feet of my Param Guru Devs, Srila Bhaktivedanta Narayan Maharaj and Srila Bhaktivedanta Vaman Maharaj, the lotus feet of Srila Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, to all our Guru Varg, to all Vaishnavas, Vaishnavis, to all assembled here listening and who will listen in the future, offer my Dandavat pranams, and to Vrindavan Dham. Dandavat pranams. So today is day 9. We're very fortunate to have got this far and to be together on this beautiful journey. Today, as some of you might have heard before we actually formally started, is a shorter day. Today, we're only visiting Baelvana, and then we'll come back and we will hear about Srila Narottama dasa Thakura. So Pujapad Tridandi Maharaj will take us to Baelvana, and Pujapad Nemi Maharaj will take us back. Yeah, let's go with that. Take us back, where we will hear about Srila Narottama dasa Thakura, and they will both speak for at least 30 minutes, but can speak for a fair bit more because we have a lot of time. So yeah, it's very exciting to be able to focus on this one place and this this one personality. But before we do that, we will view the route with Pujapad Tridandi Maharaj.
Om Mirandasya Gyananjala Shalakaya Chakshu Unmilitam Jena Tasmaya Shri Gurave Namaha. Gurave Gaurachandraya Radhikaya Tadade Krishnaya Krishna Bhaktaya Tarabhaktaya Namo Namaha. Yam Pravajantam Anapetyam Apetya Prityam Dvaipaino Viraha Katara Juhava Putreti Tammayatayo Tarabo Vinidustam Sarvabhutam Hridim Munim Anatoshmi. Bhaktya Vihina Aparada Lakshay Shittascha Karmadi Taranga Madhye Kripa Maitvam Sharanam Prapana Vrinde Namaste Charana Ravindam Bhajami Radham Aravinda Netram Smarami Radham Madhurashmitasyam Bhadami Radham Karuna Bharadram Tato Mamanastikatena Chapi Tavaivasmi Najivami Tvaivina Iti Vinaya Radhe Tvam Nayamam Charanantikam I'm first of all offering millions of Dandavat pranams unto the lotus feet of my most beloved Gurudev, Nitya Leela Pravishta Om Astautar Shishimad Srila Bhaktivedanta Narayan Goswami Maharaj. And I'm offering the same again millions of times unto the lotus feet of our most beloved Nitya Leela Pravishta Om Astautar Shishimad Srila Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. And all our illustrious Rupanuga, Guru Vargya, and all the Vaishnavas present today with us, headed by Pujapad Bhaktivedanta Nemi Maharaj, all the devotees who are watching on other platforms. My Dandavat pranams to all of you today. So today, yes, is a maybe a short. It's a single day. And it's a very, very, very beautiful day. It's splendid because we don't have to climb on a rickety bus. We don't have to go through congested traffic. We don't have to do any of that. We simply have to have our 5 rupees in hand and walk to the beach of Jamuna Devi and take a boat across the Jamuna directly in front of Gopinath Bhavan. This is our route today. Actually, we can get the route on the screen now, if you like. It's directly in front of our Gopinath Bhavan. Yes, if you pinch out. Bilvavan. Bilvavan and Baelvana are the same, just different names for the same place. So we're just going to take a boat across the Jamuna, and then we have to walk about 2.5-3 kilometers through a most attractive landscape, which has just been washed clean totally by Jamuna Devi. When we're standing on the western bank in our place at Gopinath Bhavan and we look across during the rainy season, which is just completed, it's practically 1.5 miles or at least a full mile in flood. Jamuna Devi just completely floods the eastern bank. So now all that flood water, of course, has gone down, and we're going to be walking directly through those clean, pristine, white sands that Jamuna Devi's just cleaned, and the beautiful bushes there. So we have a small video that we can show you just to get the atmosphere of the place where we're going to walk to. It's just very quiet and very peaceful because there's no traffic hardly. So yes, this is our video. Okay.
Prabhala bala pallava prabharuga Varabhaya sura kare prabhuta sampadalaye kada kari sasiyamam kripa kataksamajanam anangaranga mangala prasanga bhangura bhruva sabhramam samabramam nikantavana nirantaram vasikrita pratinandanandane kadapari sajiyamam kripapata hari suvarna tampaka pradipta gaura vigrahe mukha prabhaparasakoti sarate mandale vijetra chitra sanchara chakora savalochane kada Kripakataksamajan Asesava Bhavadhira Hirahara Bhusite Prabhuta Sartha Kumbha Kumbha Kumbhi Kumbha Sutrani Rasasamanda Asapurna Purna Saurya.
Yes, so we come into this beautiful ancient village of Baelvana forest, and it's very exceptional. This is a picture of Srila Gurudev being carried across the Jamuna. This is a historic picture. That's our Pujapad Bon Maharaj there on Gurudev's left, carrying Gurudev across the waters of the Jamuna previously. So that's how they would cross the Jamuna in dramatic style. Thank you, Manjalali. So, yes, we've come to this very rustic, beautiful village. And the women are all churning butter and so on. The cows are there, the buffaloes are there. The dust is being raised by the cows and the buffaloes. The children are just playing around, and it's all just very, very gentle and very peaceful, because there's no traffic, there's no roads, there's no connection, it seems, with modern day society. So the whole atmosphere is very, very opulent in the sense that it's incredibly peaceful. And this is the topic that we're going to be discussing. Then we're going to come to this beautiful small temple where Lakshmi Devi is residing. Lakshmi Devi, she heard from Narad the glories of the Ras Leela with such enthusiasm that Lakshmi Devi, she developed a very, very intense desire to be with her Lord in Vrindavan and to participate in the Ras Leela. This was her heart's desire. So she came to this place, this forest of Baelvana, with the intention of performing austerities to gain entrance into the Ras Leela pastimes. And she performed austerities here for a long period of time, it's described. And then Gurudev describes that in one kalpa, Punamasi comes. In another kalpa, Krishna himself comes. And both of them express the same conclusion. They ask Lakshmi Devi, she wants to enter into this Ras Leela, but does she even know how to make cow dung patties? Does she know how to cheat on her husband? Does she know how to sing the different songs that all the gopis sing, etc.? So none of this, of course, is known to Lakshmi Devi. She says, no, I don't know how to do this. And how could I possibly cheat on my husband? I'm a Brahmani. So this mood of Aishwarya is indelible within the heart of Lakshmi Devi. And Gurudev describes that the constitution of Aishwarya and Madhurya is that they can never be present in the same place at the same time. It's impossible. He says directly, he says, the constitutional nature of Aishwarya and Madhurya, they cannot exist together. These are his words. They cannot exist together. How can they? It's just too contradictory. So this truth of this situation for Lakshmi Devi brings us as the sadhaks so many jewels of instructions and guidance in our attempts to actually enter this most confidential place of Krishna's pastimes, at least in our meditation. Rupa Goswami, he's given us the direction. Very simple. Tannama rupa charitadi sukirtana smritya kramana rasanamana siddhyoja tishtem braje tanuragi janugami. That one must live in Vrindavan. The sadhak desiring to enter into deeper meditation on these pastimes and to purify his material contaminated condition must live in Vrindavan. So if we cannot live there directly, then by mind. So all of you on this Zoom today or watching this are most fortunate because your consciousnesses are absorbed in Vrindavan. Sometimes devotees, they come on the Parikrama, but their consciousness may be far away because of different circumstances, etc., from the actual Leelas and being present with what is going on. So we are here now, and somehow or other, due to these technological advancements we have, we're all able to sit and consciously and comfortably meditate and reflect upon the speciality of this distinction between Aishwarya and Madhurya. In Vrindavan, Krishna, he cannot even roll over by himself practically. He can't do anything. He's completely dependent on the Brijbasis. He has this mood where he's hungry to appreciate their love for him. And they are feeling that they are completely responsible for Krishna's welfare in every single area of his life. They have to feed him and clothe him, etc. They worry for him all the time where he is, etc. And they have that feeling, complete feeling, that Krishna is ours and we must take care of him. So this is an extraordinary mentality. In fact, this is the Supreme Lord who's performing these pastimes in a mood, as I said the other day, of all-knowing, sarvagya, and not knowing also at all that he's the Supreme Person. Yogamaya allows that forgetfulness to come in the heart of Krishna a number of times. And in contrast to Dwarka, they are completely dependent on Krishna, fully dependent on Krishna. They either see Krishna as the Supersoul or Krishna as the Supreme Lord of all beings, like that. They see Krishna in different ways, but always he is the Supreme, absolutely the Supreme. Whereas in Braj, he's not. And this is really brought out by the beautiful pastime when Uddhav, when he is requested by Krishna to come to Vrindavan to pacify his family members and, of course, principally the gopis who are lamenting extremely in Krishna's separation. So when Uddhav comes into Braj, it's described by Shukadeva Goswami in the 46th chapter of the 10th canto, Krishna allows him to see a spurti of when Krishna is present within Vrindavan. All the gopis are singing, the cows are in the fields rutting, the gopas are all calling out, fetch me the milk, pass the pail of milk, tie the cow's legs, etc. There's a whole joviality going on. It's described that the Brahmins' fires are burning brightly. Everything is beautiful and in song and dance and sweetness. And Uddhav, he witnesses this. And it's this great euphoric beauty that he's experiencing. And then Krishna steps out of a doorway. And what does Uddhav do? He immediately offers his obeisances. But in Braj, people don't offer obeisances like that. So when Uddhav gets up, then that spurti has faded. And now the reality of Braj during separation is seen by Uddhav. Everything, even the birds and the trees, the creatures, everything is in a mood of abject separation from Krishna. So this is the marked distinction. So Uddhav, we know, he is described as being a Jnani Bhakta. Gyan in the sense of understanding knowledgeably the extent of Krishna's greatness, Krishna's glories. This is what it means when it says Jnani Bhakta. So he's a Jnani Bhakta, that's his adhikar forever. Even though he stays with the gopis, etc., he associates with Nanda Baba and Yashoda, but this feeling that Krishna is always the Supreme Personality of Godhead can't leave his heart. And similarly, with Lakshmi Devi, how will that feeling that the Lord is the Lord of my life ever fade in the heart of Lakshmi Devi? It can't. So therefore, when we come into this temple, we see Lakshmi Devi is sitting there in meditation still today. It's described. Still, that burning desire is there in her heart to enter, even though she's completely ineligible. So this whole description or understanding today is about this distinction between Aishwarya and Madhurya. My Gurudev practically gave his life to explain this repeatedly again and again. It's so paramount for our understanding, because none of this understanding would be available to us without the mercy of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. It's only the mercy of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Rupa Goswami and the other Goswamis that we're able to understand this distinction. Prior to Mahaprabhu, practically, nobody really understood this distinction. It was described in the 10th canto of the Srimad Bhagavatam, but who could actually accept that and really appreciate it? The esoteric mood of this Madhurya Bhav. Everyone, by nature, practically, unless you're educated in the precepts of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, only wants to worship God. First of all, in a lower stage, we worship God as like our order supplier. And we see him on that platform. In most of the Western worlds, all the religions of the world are based around a mood of Aishwarya, totally. It's unthinkable to think of God as being my closest friend, not just friend, but like in the gopis relationship, like in Madhurya, or like in Vatsalya with Mother Yashoda. Even in Sakya Ras, they can defeat Krishna. So in all these ways, Krishna is not the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Even when he's lifting Govardhan Hill, he's not the Supreme Personality of Godhead in their eyes. They are all thinking, Govardhan is flying by the strength of Nanda Baba's prayers. And the Sakhas are thinking, yes, we are holding up Govardhan Hill by our strength. But of course, Radharani, she is thinking, well, she has told Govardhan, if you drop down one sesame seed, I will incinerate you. So they're not seeing for a single second that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So this is a very high stage for the sadhak to come to. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, he describes in his Ragvartman Chandrika a very beautiful analogy to appreciate this fully, that if we think that we have a glass of water, if the water represents Madhurya, and you put a spoonful of salt in that glass of water and you mix it and drink it, it's very, very salty. So this salt is like the Aishwarya mixing with the Madhurya. But if you take a whole sack, a few 100 pounds sack of salt, and you throw it in the Ganga represents the extensive Madhurya mood of Braj, then that one sack of salt in the Ganga will make no difference at all. But at the same time, that amount of Aishwarya is certainly underlying in Braj, in the sense of their dedicated, respectful, beautiful, sweet moods. There's never for a single moment when they would drop from a mood of fervently trying to please Krishna in every single way. So this Aishwarya is there, but it's covered by such an extensive amount of Madhurya that you can't even detect it at all, practically. There's a similar understanding of this. I can remember sitting in Mathura many times. I'm sure you also can remember these occasions when the local devotees, the Indian devotees, they could communicate with Srila Gurudev in a very familiar way because they had such a deep, deep, deep respect and love for him. This deep respect was at heart there, cultivated. And sometimes it was seen that the Westerners tried to imitate that very intimate mood with Gurudev that they had seen the local devotees in exchanging with Gurudev. And Gurudev would just turn away because the base of Aishwarya or of absolute Nishta was missing. Do you understand? It's like, so this is what I'm comparing in Vrindavan to the Aishwarya that is there at the base, the absolute dedication to bringing Krishna the highest satisfaction and pleasure, but in a most familiar, beautiful way. So how could Lakshmi Devi, who has come from Vaikuntha or come from Dwarka, we can say, possibly enter into this mood? Everything my Gurudev used to describe is about mood. We have to try and understand what is the heartfelt reciprocal exchanges between the residents of Braj and consider simultaneously the residents of Dwarka. What are their exchanges with Krishna? We know that sometimes in Dwarka, Krishna will manifest his four-armed form. This is complete Aishwarya. Krishna will do that when in the pastime with Rukmini, when he's joking one time with Rukmini and saying that he's not good enough a husband for her. And Rukmini, just at that thought, she faints. And Krishna, he picks her up with two hands and then arranges her hair with another two hands. So this can happen in Dwarka, but this can never, ever happen. There's never an occasion where any of the pastimes go beyond what we call Nara Leela. Nara Leela are the human-like pastimes. So that could never, ever take, even though it's remarkable because we think of these ferocious, huge demons, and yet Krishna himself is very innocent about the demons himself. He's thinking that, oh, Putana, she came to kill me, but all I did was suck her breast. He's not thinking that I took the life out of her. It's actually not Krishna. It's not Brajendranandan Krishna anyway who's doing that. It's that Vishnu aspect of Brajendranandan internally that deals with the demons on that level. But externally, the residents never feel that Krishna, for a moment practically, is God. Occasionally, on a very rare instance, and Srila Gurudev has described, again, in his commentary on Raghavartman Chandrika, how Punamasi has mentioned, in passing, so to speak, to the gopis, that Krishna sometimes is like God. But Gurudev, he gives an analogy of if you have 200 liters of milk boiling and you have some blades of grass amongst all the milk, and periodically one of those grasses may come to the surface just for a moment and then go down. So this Aishwarya may just for a second exhibit itself, just like we're going to hear at Paitagam, where the gopis are searching for Krishna, and Krishna plays a joke with them and stands there in his four-armed form, and the gopis just walk past him. They're not feeling that sort of awe and reverence towards that Vishnu aspect of Krishna. So we see that this exceptional sweetness, but our appreciation of this sweetness is only gifted to us today as sadhaks through the mercy of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And my Gurudev describes this very, very beautifully in his Origins of Rathayatra, in the 7th chapter of the Origins of Rathayatra, in the Hira Panchami festival. This is where this whole truth really blossoms on the order of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. They are all in Puridam. And Mahaprabhu asks Kashishwara Mishra to arrange for this festival where Lakshmi Devi from Nilachal, which is where Jagannath, where Bimala Devi is residing, the queen of Jagannath, should come and try to enter the Gundicha, Sundarachal, which represents Vrindavan. So there's a very beautiful description in the Chaitanya Charitabrita in the 14th chapter. It describes extensively this particular pastime. Now, it was Chaitanya Mahaprabhu who initiated this drama, this dramatic performance to take place to instruct us in this particular tattva, how the followers of Lakshmi Devi, they all come and they have whips of cloth, it's described, and they beat those guards of Lord Jagannath, and they're chastising the guards of Jagannath, demanding, where is our Swamini's husband? Where is Lakshmi Devi's husband? And they're demanding that Jagannath immediately come back to Nilachal. And Mahaprabhu is absolutely relishing this pastime. And then he comments that the man of Lakshmi Devi, he's never witnessed such forceful man like this. In Vrindavan, when we hear of the man in Vrindavan, they're not actively, brazenly, forcefully performing acts like this in Vrindavan. Whereas here in Puri, she's coming with whips and soldiers, etc. Her army, it's described, the devotees dressed as soldiers in Lakshmi Devi's army. And at this point, Mahaprabhu says like this. And then Swarup Damodar, who is, of course, Lalita Devi in Krishna Leela, he begins to describe the speciality of Vrindavan and the sweetness of Vrindavan, and of the flowers, of the trees, of the cows, of the simplicity and beauty and speciality of Madhurya. And Srivas is there. Srivasacharya is there. And he takes on a mood of Naramuni. And it's very beautiful descriptions that Krishnadas Kaviraj is describing in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, where in the mood of Narad Muni, Srivasacharya, he's saying why would Krishna want to leave Lakshmi Devi? She has so many jewels, she has such opulent lifestyle, there's such beautiful palaces. Why would Krishna want to leave there and go to this little forest of Vrindavan? What could possibly replace the beauty and speciality of Lakshmi Devi's residences in Nilachal? And he's glorifying the opulence of Lakshmi Devi. But then Swarup Damodar, he begins to talk about the opulences of Vrindavan, how the flowers, for example, of Vrindavan are like chintamani's, how they can produce any type of jewel, but the gopis, they simply use them as anklets, or they decorate their bodies, they decorate Radharani and Krishna with these flowers. That's all they use the flowers for. But they could produce unlimited amounts of material wealth with these flowers. And then like the cows, these Kamandenu cows, they produce abundant milk, but they can actually produce totally anything that the heart desires. These are within the forest of Vrindavan. All the cows there are Kamandenu cows. We have one example of a Kamandenu cow that Vasishta owned. And there's many pastimes in the Puranas about that particular one cow. Nandini was the name of that cow. And there's stories about that one cow producing so much quantities of foodstuffs for a whole army. But this is just one cow, Kamandenu cow. But in Vrindavan, there are unlimited, practically millions of these cows. And then the trees, they're all kalpavriksha trees. They're wish fulfilling, any desire that you have in your heart. These trees, they can fulfill them in a moment. So what is the comparison with the opulence of Vrindavan? And yet the residents of Vrindavan, they don't hanker for anything of that nature whatsoever. So that is an even greater opulence. That simplicity and sweetness is in fact a greater opulence. Just like I said at the very beginning of what I was describing today, how when we enter this village of Baelvana, it is to the sensitive sadhak an extremely opulent place because there is no sound of traffic, etc. There's no telephone wires. I don't think you can even get a signal there practically. So this has a special flavor of exceptional opulence. So we can appreciate the simplicity. So the devotees generally, they like to craft their lives in such a simple fashion so that they're not encumbered by various material objects which just increase material desires, etc. So Mahaprabhu himself, he's emphasizing this distinction between Aishwarya and Madhurya, particularly during this Hira Panchami festival. And within the chapter 7, my Gurudev, he describes very beautifully the nature of, or speciality of Madhurya, the sweetness of it, how it just melts the heart. And he tells the beautiful pastime of when Mother Yashoda, she's accusing Krishna of stealing milk, stealing butter from other houses. And Krishna is strongly denying it. He's saying, how can I steal this butter? Every day you send me out and I'm with the cows or with the calves in the fields. And then I come back at night, then I take something to eat, some supper, and then I take rest. How have I stolen butter? And Mother says, yes, you've stolen butter. And Krishna says, no, this is just, you're just fabricating this. You're just listening to gossip and rumors. And Mother Yashoda again, she says, yes, I know you have stolen butter. And then Krishna says to his mother, actually, you're saying this because perhaps I'm not your son. Perhaps I'm not born from you. Perhaps I'll go and live somewhere else because you're accusing me so strongly. And when Krishna says like this, Mother Yashoda, she stops for a minute and considers. She knows the restless nature of her son. And she thinks, well, perhaps my son could just wander off. So, I better change my tune here and stop accusing him. Otherwise, he may just run away. I'm not sure. Mother Yashoda was thinking like that. So then she said, actually, I know that you haven't stolen butter, my darling Lala. I know you haven't stolen butter. And then she becomes silent and Krishna whispers in his ear, Mother, I have done it. I have stolen the butter. So then they both weep and weep together, my Gurudev describes at this point. This is Madhurya. This is Madhurya in Vrindavan. This has nothing to do with the opulences of Lakshmi Devi's realm. So there's another example also when the Nandotsav festival is going on and everyone's celebrating the birth of baby Krishna. And they're in the courtyard of Nanda Baba and they start to splash yogurt on each other and turmeric on each other. It's a very joyful, joyous festival celebrating the advent of Krishna in Vrindavan. And Lakshmi Devi at that point, she wants to actually participate in that festival too, but she finds that there's no way she can enter into it with her jewels. So Jiva Goswami describes that she just fills the gutters of Vrindavan with rubies and diamonds and emeralds, etc., with jewels. This is as far as she can actually offer some opulence. The Brijbasis, they're not interested at all. They're interested in the flavor of Madhurya. So we see in the world today how this distracting state of material acquirement is what is keeping practically the whole populace materially engaged. There's that beautiful verse, Vayam Dvitiya Biniveshitam Syat Isadupatasya Vipareyo Shmriti, that fear arises when one is fully materially absorbed. So this material absorption for acquirements in this world only brings to suffering. So in that comparison, we can see how the inferiority of the opulences of material objects, etc. So in this chapter 14, it's of the Chaitanya Charitabrita, Madhya Leela, so many verses my Gurudev brings out here describing the conversation between Swarup Damodar and Srivas Thakur. He's describing the beautiful exchanges of and accentuating the distinction between Aishwarya and Madhurya. And the devotees have to be really fluent and appreciating what this means, what are these moods, and to recognize and appreciate this. We are coming from such an Aishwarya background as conditioned souls. I one time said to Srila Gurudev, you're saying that Uddhav doesn't have access to Vrindavan because of he's a Jnani Bhakta, and yet you're telling us that we have access to Vrindavan in some future birth. And at that point, my Gurudev says, yes, I can influence you and mold you as I wish. So this is a vital consideration, that by the mercy of our Guru Vargya, by the mercy of Rupa Goswami, who is giving us the teachings of Sachinandan Gaura Hari completely, these teachings in this age, this is the gift of Mahaprabhu, is to be able to understand these topics were not even spoken about previously. Previously, they were just not even openly discussed. And yet today, we're here on internet discussing probably with, I don't know, probably more than 100 devotees around. And we're hearing these exceptional topics of these confidential topics. We're hearing the confidential topics between Radha and Krishna in the various pastime places. And we're hearing here the speciality of the distinction between Aishwarya and Madhurya, not even Lakshmi Devi. Everyone in the world is praying to Lakshmi Devi, especially where I'm staying here, living here now in Bengal. The whole country of Bengal, they worship Durga Ma. This is the biggest festival in the world for worshipping Durga Ma. Why do they worship her? Because they want something. They want some material opulences, and the whole country, the whole world is hungry to acquire these types of acquirements that are available materially in the world. So by the mercy of Mahaprabhu, by the mercy of our Guru Vargya, we are getting such a remarkable gift of knowing this distinction between Aishwarya and Madhurya. We see even in the Srila Rupa Goswami, he's described the different types of rati, the different types of relationship between the queens of Dwarka and the gopis of Vrindavan. The queens of Dwarka, their rati is described as samanjasaha. It cannot control Krishna. Their rati doesn't control Krishna. Krishna, when Satyabhama becomes infuriated, when Narad, he's playing a trick with them all in front of all the different queens. He's presenting a parijat flower and asks Krishna, you please give this parijat flower to your best queen, your topmost queen, and Krishna gives it to Rukmini. So at that point, Satyabhama becomes like a stung snake, and she just leaves that assembly totally, and in a mood of high man, and goes back to her palace. But all Krishna has to do is come to the door of that palace and tell the doorman, tell Satyabhama to get dressed, because in that angry mood, she would have gone into the angry room. within the palace and just cried and demonstrated great anger just in a very dejected way. But Krishna just instructs the doorman, you just go and tell Satyabhama to get dressed properly and come and welcome me at the door of her palace. And then, of course, we know the story how Krishna goes to take a whole parijat tree to pacify it. But the man of Lakshmi Devi is quite different to the man of Radhika and the different gopis in Braj. It's a totally different mood and flavor. So the devotees take great happiness and pleasure in discussing these distinctions between Aishwarya and Madhurya with the hope of highlighting more clearly this nature of this Madhurya Ras. This Madhurya Ras is, we talk about it so lightly, but really and truly, it's such a deep consideration to meditate upon. So this is something of the katha that we hear in Baelvana. I was reflecting today, watching Srila Gurudev in that place of Baelvana. And when we're actually on the Parikrama, as I said before, we only have time to shout in the microphone for probably 3 or 4 or 5 minutes. And if we're Western bodied, probably less than that. So we don't actually get very much katha about the importance and significance of these holy places. But this Baelvana is tremendously important and tremendously significant for the sadhaks to appreciate the nature of this distinction between Aishwarya and Madhurya. So there are many more considerations in this topic, but I'll end now and we'll come to our next topic of Narottama dasa Thakura. But now we're just going to walk back. It takes about 40 or 50 minutes to actually walk to Baelvana from our Gopinath Bhavan. So now we're going to have the fortune to walk all the way back through the beautiful, clean countryside, the sands, the revealed sands of the Jamuna, and just to relish the atmosphere, the opulence, because this is opulence. The beauty of this land is absolutely opulent, but it's an opulence of a different nature. It's an opulence which has far more sweetness to it. It's the sweetness that is highlighted. So thank you so very much for listening to this katha today. And I'm begging for the mercy of all the Vaishnavas to appreciate these topics more fully in my own life. Thank you. Dandavat pranam. Svancha kalpatarubhyascha. Kripas ivja. Patitanam pavnebhyo Vaishnavebhyo namaha. Hare Krishna. Nemi Maharaj is there. Okay. 30 plus. I did it in time.
Haribol.
Thank
you. Thank you, Maharaj, for that beautiful katha. I just have a couple questions. The first one was to clarify. You said when Uddhava enters Vrindavan, someone allows him to see a Swarti of
Krishna.
Vrindavan. Who allows him? Is it Krishna?
Krishna reveals a Swarti of him, of Braj, when he's there. He doesn't just come straight into a separation mood. This is described in the Srimad Bhagavatam very clearly in chapter 46. Krishna comes. There's a whole long description by Shukadeva Goswami of all the different activities and the joyous mood in the pasturing grounds of the bulls rutting and the gopis calling out and the sakhas calling out. And it's all very joyful and boisterous. It's exactly as it is when Krishna is present. So he describes this. But that was Krishna who gives that revelation to Uddhava. We will discuss many aspects of Uddhava in Uddhava Kyari and Uddhava Kund at Govardhan. So there's 2 places. The katha about Uddhava is delectable. It's beautiful. Was there anything else, Darren?
Yes, my other question was, you're relating the pastime of Krishna stealing the butter, and you said at the end, they both him and Mother Yashoda burst into tears. Why did they start crying? What was their reason for crying?
Because of their love. Krishna has been so insistent saying that he didn't do it. And Mother was so insistent saying that she did do it, that he did do it. And then Mother relents. And in that relenting mood, then Krishna also relents. And then the emotion that invokes within the hearts of both of them, their affection for each other, just builds and overflows, where tears manifest in sweetness, tears of sweetness and joy. Okay?
Just trying to write it all down as you say it.
Don't write it, feel it.
Huh?
Don't write it, feel it.
But I want to keep it. I want to keep it.
We keep it if we just read these. In this book, this Origins of Rath Yatra, please, if you want to understand or enter this pastime today in particular, it's just one chapter, chapter 7. There's also a narration of it, if you just want to listen to it. But this chapter, if you want to understand this topic conclusively, with referencing Srila Krishna's Kaviraj, it's just so clear in that the Hira Panchami pastime.
Okay. I've got a question. Is the origin of Rath Yatra, I remember reading about this a while ago. What's the difference between the book, The Origin of Rath Yatra, and Jagannath Rath Yatra? Because there's two different ones, right?
Same. It's the same.
They're the same, yeah. So it's funny that you mentioned this book, because I literally got it off my shelf last night because I was going to start reading it. So this is a sign. Well,
Light's gone. Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Krishna wants Nemi Maharaj to speak.
Margie, 2 quick questions, if I may. Haribol.
I don't even answer them because I got no light.
Yeah, you'll be fine, Margie. Actually, the first question's partly a statement, partly a question. Oh, can you hear me? Haribol? He's gone. Maybe I'll take my video off to save bandwidth.
Haribol, I think.
Actually, yeah, should we just move on?
I think, yeah, just save your questions when he comes back. After Maharaj is done speaking, we can just ask these questions.
Yeah, no problem.
Okay, so yesterday.
Perfect timing. Wow.
Huh?
Perfect timing.
Yeah, you could say that. So yesterday we had a whistle stop introduction to the life and pastimes of Srila Narottama dasa Thakura, and now we're going to hear. So we had the condensed version yesterday, and today we're going to hear the extended version. So without further ado, I'm going to hand over to Pujapad Bhaktivedanta Nemi Maharaj to speak something on this topic. Srila Narottama dasa Thakura.
Om Jnana Tinirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshuranmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimade Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Nam. Namo Vishnu Padaya Radhikaya Priyatmane Shri Srimad Bhaktivedanta Narayaniti Namane. Namo Vishnu Padaya Gaura Prasthaya Bhutale Shri Srimad Bhaktivedanta Bharati Namane. Vanchakalpataribhyascha kripasinudabhyevacha putitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namah. Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasana Shri Gaura. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare Rama, Rama Rama. Today in India is the auspicious disappearance day of Sri Narottama Thakura. Yesterday was his disappearance day here. So Srila Gurudev arranged that the calendar should be calculated for local titis. In other words, we celebrate according to titi, according, as I understand, according to the configuration of the moon, especially because we run according to a lunar calendar. So some mutts, they base everything on India and everyone celebrates on the same day. But Srila Gurudev wanted to have the titis calculated so everyone could calculate according to their particular time, which day and what time and all like that. So therefore, yesterday we observed the disappearance of Srila Narottama Thakura in UK, for example, and many other countries. UK is not the only country in the world. And in India as well. In India today. So Narottama Thakura, actually, Narottama, it starts, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, having been to South India, he decided he wanted to go to Vrindavan, or he announced that he wanted to go to Vrindavan. With a huge crowd, he arrived in Ramkeli, which is where W. Kas and Sakya Malik lived, later to become Rupa Goswami, Sanatana Goswami. So he told them that actually I only came to meet you two. And later on, he proceeded a little further to a place called Kanai Natushala. And there he was dancing and calling out, Narottam, Narottam, Narottam. So devotees were amazed that it seems as though some extraordinary personality is being born. And Nityananda Prabhu, he asked Lord Chaitanya, so what is this Narottam? What is your mood? And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, oh my Lord, he's addressing Nityananda Prabhu, my Lord, oh my Lord, I was with you in Puri and you were dancing and chanting in so much ecstasy every day. So I managed to catch that love of yours. And now I'm feeling this love and I want to hand it on. So they came to a place called Kudupur on the bank of Padmavati, river Padmavati. And Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he was dancing and singing in ecstasy, tremendous ecstasy. And then he told Padmavati, I want to leave my love with you, and you must give it to Narottama when he comes. So she said, how will I know? There's so many people come to take bath in my waters. How will I know when Narottama comes? The Lord Chaitanya said, when he enters your waters, you will overflow. And when that happens, then you will understand that, oh, this is Narottama, and you will give him the love that I'm leaving with you now. So Padmavati river kept that love in her own particular way. So Narottama Thakura, meanwhile, he was born as the son of Krishnananda Dutt. So the two brothers, Krishnananda Dutt and Santosh Dutt, both great devotees. And Narottama was very, very beautiful, born on a very auspicious day. From the beginning, very intelligent, very spiritually minded. Everything that he learned, he could remember immediately. Photographic memory. And extremely intelligent for understanding all the points. Everybody was amazed. From the beginning, he was inclined to renunciation, spiritual advancement. And one day he went to this place, Kudapur, and just as he entered into the river, so Padmavati overflowed. And then she understood, oh, this is Narottama. I have to give him the love that Lord Chaitanya has left with me, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So Narottama received that love. And when he came out, he looked completely different. His mother didn't even recognize him. He became a totally different person. And naturally, being absorbed in Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's love, he wasn't interested in worldly affairs at all. So his parents became very worried that, oh, maybe he'll leave. So they were guarding him, just like Raghunath Das's parents were guarding him to stop him from running away. One day, the king of Gauda sent a message to Krishnananda and Santosh that we have to have a meeting. It's very important business. So they left, and taking that advantage, the guardians were not so strict, and Narottama Thakur took his farewell from his mother Narayani, and then he left. He went to go to Vrindavan. Young boy, very young man, let's say, traveling to Vrindavan, crying, weeping. He's ecstatic. These personalities, we can't understand how ecstatic they are. And all the time he'd be longing. I want to be with the devotees. So in Vrindavan, Srivas was already there. Srivas, another very young man, a little older than Narottama. He'd come, he just missed having darshan of Lord Chaitanya, just missed having darshan of Panchatattva in Vraja-mandala. And then he decided, I'll come to Vrindavan, at least I'll be able to associate with Rupa and Sanatan. And they left. Rupa Goswami just left just a very few days before he arrived. Very tragic. He took shelter of Jiva Goswami and received initiation from Gopal Bhatta Goswami. So Srinivas was thinking, oh, I've heard about this amazing young devotee, Narottama. I would really want to meet with him. And then just on that day, Narottama arrived in Vrindavan. So they became so attracted to each other. And they studied together under the guidance of Srila Jiva Goswami. In Vrindavan, or in Braj, there was a great personality, Srila Lokanath Das Goswami. Great personality. If we look in Sri Chaitanya Charitabrita, no mention of Srila Lokanath Das Goswami. No mention of Bhugarva Goswami, his nephew, with whom he came to Braj. But actually they were sent by Lord Chaitanya, specifically sent by Lord Chaitanya. So Lokanath Das Goswami, he's one of the 8 chief manjars of Srimati Radhika, Manjulali Manjari. And he's worshipping Radha and Krishna in solitude. Now, so he's taken a vow that I want to worship in solitude, and so naturally he's not going to take any disciples. And Narottama Thakur, somehow or other, I don't know, somewhere it said that Jiva Goswami told him, or by his own attraction to Srila Lokanath Das Goswami, I don't know. But somehow or other he developed the same vow that Srila Saraswati Prabhupada took in relationship with Srila Gaurkishore Das Babaji Maharaj. Srila Gaurkishore Das Babaji Maharaj also, he vowed, I will not take any disciples. And Saraswati Prabhupada said, I will receive initiation from Srila Gaurkishore Das Babaji Maharaj, or I will die. Do or die. So Narottama Thakur had the same mood. do or die. And he begged Srila Narottama dasa Goswami for initiation. Lokanath, no, I can't. I'm a very rubbish person. Just eating, sleeping, that's all. I don't have any bhajan. You should get initiation for someone else. Narottama Thakur was not to be deterred. So he was thinking, how can I gain his favor? So how we can gain the favor is by serving. But serving with a mood of love. So Narottama Thakur, he's king's son. He's used to living in so much luxury, opulence, servants. But now in Vrindavan, late at night, every night, he's coming to the place where Srila Narottama dasa Goswami uses a toilet, and he's cleaning the place completely. And then he sifted soil, made very, very fine soil, and left water so that Srila Narottama dasa Goswami could wash his hands after toilet business. So after some time, Narottama dasa Goswami became curious, said, who's doing this? And he hid. And then he saw this beautiful Narottam would come out. He'd hidden a broom in the undergrowth somewhere there. And he would come out and he'd be holding the broom and saying, oh, this is the way that I'll gain the favor of Narottama dasa Goswami. So Lokanath, hidden in the bushes, he's seeing this beautiful young prince cleaning up toilet place, sweeping with his broom and crying in love. And he grabs hold of him. Who are you? What are you doing? What do you want? Narottam's crying and crying. Young, beautiful young man, and crying. Oh, please, I just want your favor. I want to receive initiation from you. I can't live without receiving initiation from you. So Narottama dasa Goswami's heart melted. He said, all right, you take bath in Yamuna. So next day, he took bath in Yamuna and received initiation from Srila Narottama dasa Goswami. So he had a very close relationship with him. Then Srila Gurudev especially emphasizes his pastime where one day, very, very hot day, Narottama dasa Goswami or somewhere other between the two of them, they've constructed a hut for Narottama Thakur next to his Guru Maharaj's hut. And they're both sitting chanting Hare Krishna on beads. Hot day. We in the West, we don't know what hot means. It's Indian hot. So a farmer comes and he approaches Srila Narottama dasa Goswami. Oh, Babaji, please give me some drink. Some water. I'm very, very thirsty. Narottama dasa Goswami, he's totally absorbed. Maybe he didn't even see the farmer. Doesn't respond at all. Okay, so the farmer then comes to Narottama Thakur. Oh, Babaji, please give me some water. I'm dying of thirst, please. So Narottama Thakur puts down his bead. He goes, gets a bucket, brings water, gives to the farmer, and he goes back and resumes his chanting. After some time, Narottama dasa Goswami says to him that you're not qualified to be here in Braj. This is only for serious, those who are serious. Don't you know, service to the holy name is service to everything. You don't need to do anything else. So you should leave. It seems very cruel, very harsh. But actually this was Narottama dasa Goswami's way of sending Narottama Thakur out into the world. I received somewhat similar treatment from our Gurudev, year 2000. Like as though he expelled me from the mat. He was so harsh with me, seemingly harsh. The devotees thought I committed some offense or something like that. But indirectly in a lecture, he indicated to me personally that I'm doing this in love. So then in in Moscow in 2000, no, not 2000, in 2000, he came to Moscow that year. And we were walking, just the two of us actually, just for once. And I mentioned the time when you threw me out of the mud. He said, oh, that was a prison for you. And my Guru Maharaj, the same with Harikesh. Harikesh was serving Srila Prabhupada. And Prabhupada wanted him to go and preach. I mean, he's a very, very powerful preacher. He wanted him to go and preach, and Harikesh didn't want to. Prabhupada was giving him such a hard time, abusing him, criticizing him. And in the end, Harikesh came to Prabhupada. He said, Prabhupada, I resign. Prabhupada said, you can't resign. You're fired. And so he sent him away, and he ended up in Eastern Europe, preaching in Eastern Europe. So then sometime after that, he came to Srila Prabhupada with books in different Eastern European languages. And so many of the devotees from the Eastern European countries, I mean, it was very, very, very difficult, very dangerous at that time. And Prabhupada said to Harikesh, so now do you understand? Harikesh was crying. So our acharyas, they may do this. It may seem harsh at the time, but we can detect the love. So Narottam, so he was studying all three, not Hridayananda, sorry. Shyamananda Prabhu had come already, and Narottam Thakur and Srinivas. So they're all studying together under Srila Gopal Bhatt Goswami. And our Gurudev emphasizes that in those days, there was no question that, you have to stay in this group, you can't go anywhere else. Yes, I know so-and-so may be a very advanced devotee, but you're not allowed to go there. You have to stay in this group. No, there were no such diplomatic boundaries. So they're all studying. And at some point, Srila Jiva Goswami gave the instruction that you will have to go, you three will have to go. You'll take the books of the Goswamis, Srila Rupa Goswami, Sanatana Goswami, Jiva Goswami also, Gopal Bhatta Goswami, Srila Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami. You will have to take these books to go to Mandal. And the devotees there, they can copy the books and distribute them. So on an auspicious day, they set out with the books on a cart. And the three, Prabhu Troy, the next generation of preachers, already saturated with, for example, Srila Jiva Goswami's wonderful Siddhant, and Jiva Goswami is also very Rasik. And Narottam and Srivas, they'd been on Parikrama with Raghava Pandit, who was such an intimate associate with Lord Chaitanya. Shri Radharani herself cooked in his kitchen. So they'd gone on Vraja-mandala Parikrama with Raghava Pandit. So saturated in Ras, fully realized in their spiritual form. They set out, we know on the way the books were stolen by Bihambir, who at that time was bandit king, but then he later became, he and his queen became firm, staunch disciples of Shivas, who got all the books back. So after some time, the Prabhu Troy, they arranged the Gaur Purnima festival in Keturi. Keturi is the place where Narottam Thakur was born. His father, Krishnananda, had passed away, but his uncle, means Krishnananda's brother, Santoshda, he was now king. And he was so happy to receive Narottam again. And he was delighted to arrange huge, lavish festival. Thousands of people came. So Narottam, by this time, he was a brilliant instrumentalist, extremely expert in singing. Srila Gurudev says that when he was singing and playing mridanga, and the mridanga itself would sing what he was singing. This is expertise. It was like the Mridanga itself, Mridanga himself, was singing those words. Like I'll just give a mundane example. In Africa, they have talking drums. Like I used to play talking drum. I didn't know how to talk on it though. But there was, in the village that I was, there was one of the villagers there, he played the talking drum. He'd actually talk on the drum. He'd say, okay, now I'm saying you get your hair cut. He told me. So Narottama Thakur, he's playing Mridanga, he's singing, and he and the Mridanga are singing together. A wonderful songwriter, Srila Gorkishodas Babaji Maharaj, later, he said, if you want to get Krishna prema, you just have to, you spend a few paisa, go down to the market, and you purchase Prarthana and Prem Bhakti Chandrika. Read these. Of course, we have to read under direction. We'll have to read under the direction of devotees already immersed in that mood. But so his songs, although he's deeply steeped, I mean, he's been studying under Srila Jiva Goswami, the greatest scholar, the greatest philosopher in the world, on the one hand, and on the other hand, he's giving the essence of this philosophy and the essence of the ras in these beautiful Bengali songs. Very, very profound, very heartfelt. And Prarthana, he's not pulling any punches. Prarthana begins, first song, Gauranga Bodhite Hobe, Pulakashari, Hari Hari Bodhite, Nayane Bodhite. This is our entrance, actually. First, we chant the name of Gauranga, because naturally ecstasy will come, because Gauranga doesn't accept any offenses. So if we chant the name of Gauranga, then we can feel ecstatic. By that ecstasy, we can rise so that we can chant the names of Radha and Krishna without offense. And this song, Gauranga Bolite Habe, my Guru Maharaj pointed out that the whole process, mood process of Krishna consciousness is actually contained in that song. And then, like I said yesterday, it's like a roller coaster, a rasic roller coaster. Sometimes moods of deep, deep humility. Gaurapahum. Satasangachari kaino asate bilaso. I gave up satsanga. And not only I gave up the association of devotees, but even in my mind, I gave up associating with Gauranga, Radha, Krishna, their associates. And I just began engaging in all sorts of nonsense activities. I've swallowed poison willingly. And then the last verse in that song, but what happiness did I ever gain? Why didn't Narottama simply die? Deep, deep mood, deep mood. And then humility, and then coming up and he's describing service in spiritual form as Champak Manjari to Radha and Krishna Govardhan, describing how Radha and Krishna, they're dancing so beautifully together, and the peacocks are falling and displaying their tails, the birds are singing, like this. So it's an amazing, beautiful series of Prarthana means prayers, series of beautiful, beautiful prayers. We're singing many of his songs. Shri Guru Charana Padma, Narottama Thakur. Radhika at the beginning, Gaurapahum. This is also Narottama Thakur. My Guru Maharaj, he wrote to his disciple, Dhananjaya Prabhu, my god brother, who was in touch with George Harrison. So Prabhupada said, he sent a translation of Gaurapahum to Dhananjaya. He said, you give this to George Harrison, and if he sings some English version of this Gaurapahum, it will be a great event. So I'm not aware that George Harrison actually did that, but I did. I'm just going to sing the first verse. This is This is Wasted Life Blues by Narottama Thakura. Lord, this human life I wasted, your service I neglected still. Lord, this human life I wasted, your service I neglecting still. Poison willingly I've tasted, but you can save me if you will. Poison willingly I've tasted, but you can save me if you will. And in a different mood. It's a very deep mood that I've wasted my human form of life. Why did I get this life? It was so that I could engage in Krishna bhajan. Oh, Krishna Lord, this life I wasted. Your loving service, neglecting still. Poison giving thee tasted, but you can save me if you will. Last word. Oh, Krishna Lord, I stand before you. You're with Vrishabhana's daughter fair. Count me as I do implore you. Your loving service is my one desire. So Narottama Thakura, such a great kirtaniya, such a great poet, such a great instrumentalist. So they've arranged Gaura Purnima festival, and Janavama will come. At that time, already there were various groups of Vaishnavas, and there were different conclusions about the teachings of Lord Chaitanya. So they had a big meeting, and Janavama, the consort of Nityananda Prabhu, she presided over the meeting. And then they resolved the differences. They had an abhishek for 6 sets of deities, 1 Gauranga deity and Radha Krishna deities also. Sometimes it said they're installed. Srila Bharti Maharaj said that there was no need for installation because they were self-manifest. So they had abhishek. Srivas Thakur, he performed abhishek. And then on the day of Gaura Purnima, all the devotees assembled for kirtan. And Narottama Thakura, he came and he worshipped the kartals, worshipped the mridangas, worshipped the devotees who were playing the instruments. And then he began his kirtan. And all the devotees, they were swimming in prema, absolutely swimming in prema, becoming more and more and more and more absorbed. So previously, when they had gone to invite Sri Jahnavama to the festival, a voice had declared from the sky, Lord Chaitanya himself will come to this festival. He left this world years before. So everyone was very eager. And then in that festival, Lord Chaitanya, Lord Nityananda, so many associates, they all assembled. They all appeared. And in one description, so all the devotees, they were dancing and chanting in a huge circle around this circle of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Nityananda Prabhu, Panchatattva, like this. And they're all singing and dancing together. And Narottama Thakura is leading the kirtan. Such a personality. So after this festival, they had Abhishek with Gauranga deity in the evening, and then there was a feast. Janavama was cooking, and then the next day, and then the day after that, they all left. Santosh Dutt, King Santosh Dutt, he gave everybody gold coins, kamandalu cloth, and like that, and they all left. Huge festival. So Narottam continued preaching, traveling and preaching. He preached especially in Assam, Manipur. So there's still, Manipur especially is Vaishnava state to this day. And he founded his own style and school of kirtan, his own style of playing on mridanga. He converted many. It's said that bandits who used to attack travelers, cut off their heads, and dance with their heads on the points of their swords. Sri Narottama Thakura, he converted them to become Vaishnavas. One occasion, he was giving Vaishnava initiation to Brahmanas, or when I say to Brahmanas, to Vaishnavas who had been born in Brahmana caste. So according to Vedic, according to caste consideration, this is intolerable for the Brahmanas. The Brahmanas think that only they can give initiation to Brahmanas. So they were up in arms. And they came to complain to the king Narasimha that this Narottam, he's the son of a king, only a mere king. We don't think mere king, but they're thinking mere king. This is because power is not the last word in Vedic culture. The last word in Vedic culture is Vedic knowledge. And beyond that, beyond Brahminical knowledge, knowledge of Brahman, it's love. Love for, loving service to Vishnu, Narayan, and beyond that, transcendental, spontaneous loving service to Radha and Krishna. So that's the platform. Narottama Thakura is established on that platform. And from that platform, he's giving Vaishnava initiation to those who are born in Brahmin caste. But of course, the caste Brahmins, they couldn't understand any of that. And they were furiously against him. So they went to King Narasimha and they complained. So Narasimha said, all right. So they went with a great scholar, Rup Narayan, and others, another great scholar as well. I don't remember his name. So they went to challenge Narottama Thakura. So his disciples heard about this. And they went to the village. They dressed themselves as very simple people. And they went to the village and they set up stalls. Because they knew that when the entourage came, the Brahmanas, they have their evening duties. And they'll need pots for their evening duties. And then in addition to that, because they all chew betel. So they had stalls. One of them sold pots and the other one sold betel nuts. So the servants of the teachers came and they were surprised that these simple shopkeepers are talking in Sanskrit. So they had discussion in Sanskrit. They went back and reported this to their teachers. And the teachers came to investigate. And So these teachers came, and the shopkeepers said, "Oh, who are you? Don't you know me? I am Rup Narayan." "Oh, is that your name, the name of the soul, or the name of the body?" And then they're debating in Sanskrit, and the teachers are totally defeated. So they came to know that even they're completely defeated by disciples of Narottama Thakur. So what chance do they have against Narottama Thakur himself? And King Narasimha said, "Look, this is a disgrace. We're all going back right away." So they all turned around and left with their tails between their legs, as they say. But the feud continued. And Narottama Thakur, on one occasion, he became sick, and he was preparing to leave. But his disciples begged him, "Please don't leave. Because if you do, then the Brahmanas will say, oh, this is because of the offense of giving initiation to Brahmanas. So please don't leave now." He said, "All right." And he regained his health. But then later on this day in India, he told his disciples that we're going to the river, I want to take bath. And he stood in and he said, "Now you pour water on me." And as they were preparing or pouring water on him, he simply melted into the sacred river, disappeared in that way. So when we talk about Narottama's disappearance, he really disappeared. Very, very, very mystical personality. Great personality, great acharya in our line. He studied under Srila Jiva Goswami. In his youth, he had a dream where Lord Chaitanya, Lord Nityananda, they all appeared to him and gave him their mercy and reassurance. He had the association of Gopal Bhatta Goswami. He got great mercy from Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami. Jiva Goswami, Gopal Bhatta. And Srila Narottama dasa Goswami. He had the opportunity to serve so many great Vaishnavas, receive their mercy, and it became such a brilliant, eminent Vaishnava. So his samadhi, I forget, yesterday or the day before we described, it's in Radha Gokulananda courtyard there. Samadhi of Srila Narottama dasa Goswami, it's quite a big samadhi with a beautiful picture. And then Narottama Thakur's and also Srila Vishnu Chakravarti Thakur's there. So Narottama Thakur's samadhi is there in the courtyard of Radha Gokulananda. And personally, since even before I met with Srila Gurudev, I felt a personal connection with Srila Narottama Thakur. I felt that he was giving, I was confused. Prabhupada had left, but I felt that Sri Narottama Thakur, he was giving me mercy. So today I'm praying for his mercy, praying for his grace and blessings, that we can all follow in his footsteps, develop singing, kirtan as he's doing, writing as he's doing, poetry as he's doing, preaching as he's doing, serving his divine masters as he's doing, learning their siddhanta as he's doing. So I'm praying at his lotus feet. Shri Narottama Thakur ki jai. And I'll sing the first verse. His song also, Jai Anilo Premadana. Jai Anilo Premadana Karuna Prachu Heno Prabhu Kota Leela Acharya Heno Prabhu Kota Leela Narottama Thakur Narottama, 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 Thakur Narottama. Shri Narottama Thakur ki jai. Vanchakapatra Vishakti Vasan Navavita Putidanam Bhavane Vyo Vaishnave Vyo Namo Namaha. Hare Krishna.
Margie, that was, you know, we're always told that developing these relationships with these great devotees is our only salvation. So otherwise we can never attain any progress in bhakti. So I'm deeply grateful to you for helping develop my sambandha with this great personality. This morning's katha has really helped that. Thank you. I have a couple of questions for you, just because I'm a bit slow sometimes. The river that Mahaprabhu instructed to give Narottama dasa Thakura his love, and the river said, "How will I know?" Or you'll overflow when he takes bath. What was the name of the river?
Padmavati. Padmavati.
Padmavati. Okay.
It's, as far as I remember, it's Keturi is like in a U kind of bow of the Padmavati.
Right. Yeah, it's not a name I'm so familiar with.
Keturi now is in it's in Bangladesh. I don't know what's happening there. Now.
Okay. You said something really interesting about Narottama dasa Thakura being one of the 8 chief manjaris.
Yes.
So is each manjari kind of assigned to one of the 8 gopis? Does it work like that?
No.
How does it work?
No, not at all. Srimati Radhika has 8 manjaris. Like main manjaris. And that's the 6 Goswamis, and Loknath Das Goswami and Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami. Loknath Das Goswami is Manjulali Manjari, and Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami is Kasturi Manjari. So we hear there's 108 chief gopis. How does that work? So Srimati Radhika, apart from Srimati Radhika has 8 Ashtasakis. Each of those 8 Ashtasakis has 8 manjari. Wait a minute. They have their own arm. I don't remember the math now, and I'm a bit flustered. Anyway, each of the 8 Ashtasakis has their own 8 Ashtasakis. Oh yeah, that's right. And they also have 4 main manjaris, each of them. So if you add that up, you've got 8 times 12 is 96, plus the original 8 is 104. And Srimati Radhika also has 4 main manjaris. So those 4 main manjaris, Rup Manjari, Vilas Manjari, Rasa Manjari, which is Rup, is Raghunath Bhatt, and Right, so I've just forgotten. There's three of those. There's a special samadhi. Raghunath Das Goswami, Tulsi Manjari, Rup Manjari, Rasa Manjari, and one Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami, Kasturi Manjari. Those 4.
That's very, very interesting. What's the good source of information for that, Maharaj? Which book?
I don't remember. If you do the math, you see that's how it works out. Oh, I know what it was. Premananda Prabhuji.
Okay.
But I confirmed it mathematically.
No, thank you. It's beautiful. You talked about the Troika going to Goradam on an auspicious day. So that's Narottama dasa Thakura, Srinivas, and the 3rd member of the Troika is?
Shamananda.
Shamananda.
Srivas Thakur came first to Vrindavan, then Narottama Thakur, and then Shamananda came a little later.
Okay.
And then they all set off together.
And then it says, if you want to get Krishna praying, you mentioned 2 books by Narottama dasa Thakura, Sri Prem Bhakti Chandrika.
And Prarthana.
Say that slowly, Maharaj.
Prarthana, P-R-A-T, Prarthana, T-H-A-N-A.
And Prarthana, okay.
Mm.
Thank you. And almost, I think that's it. Oh, one last one. Oh yeah, the river that he disappeared in, he melted into. Which river is that? Is it the same river?
I'm not sure. I don't know, actually.
Okay. Thank you, Maharaj. That was totally delicious. I'm really very, very grateful. Thank you.
Hare Krishna.
Do you want to ask your questions for Pujapad Chidandi Maharaj now?
Oh yeah, I have to go in about 2 minutes, but Maharaj, you're back. Wonderful. Let me. Oh yeah, the first question is partly a statement because I love to present how grateful I am to be on this planet at this time. So you're basically saying, based on that Leela of Lakshmi Devi, the goddess of fortune, that we're more fortunate than the goddess of fortune herself. Is that correct?
Yes. Yes.
Wow.
Absolutely. Yeah.
That's pretty breathtaking, actually.
I know. I know.
That's like, okay, wow.
I mean, how special are the teachings of Mahaprabhu? What is the nature of the gift of Mahaprabhu? We can't calculate it. Really, it is. He's just taking us right across quantum leaps. I mean, the whole day of Lord Brahma, 4 billion, 320 million years, and we just get this tiny little window where we get that opportunity.
The final question, then I'll just hand back to Tarun, and thank you so much also, Maharaj, for your beautiful guitar to get today. The Queen Dwarka, you mentioned the terminology for the mood of the Dwarka.
Samanjasaha, Samanjasaha.
Samanja?
Saha. There's 3 moods. There's one describing Kubja too, but that's not quite on the map. That's Sadharani, then Samanjasaha, and Samartharati.
Thank you, Margie.
We've discussed those before.
Okay.
But you didn't write them down. You didn't write them down.
I just need I need to be able to write with both hands. That's the problem.
Ramananda's photograph looks so serious, but he's not so serious when you see his face. Oh, he's disappeared.
Very well. I want to say thank you, Pujapadnami Maharaj, for your beautiful guitar. Sorry, I would have stayed with the questions for you, but I wanted to make some special dispensation because I know Yashoda was eager to ask his questions and he had to run off. But we have a couple more questions for you that people have sent me. The first question is, what were the differences they resolved with Janava matter during the festival at Kaitori?
I have no idea. Just that there were various different conclusions. Well, I mean, we know there's Gauranga Nagari, for example. Some ideas Gauranga Nagari, they must have arisen already, and different understandings about the identity of Radha and Krishna, of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, because not everybody would have been in contact with Srila Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami. There's so many, but I haven't seen it stated what the differences were.
Thank you, Maharaj.
That was the first Govardhan festival.
Oh, wow.
First large one, yeah.
Mm.
I'd like to thank all the devotees for the comments in the chat. Hare Krishna. Questions.
Oh, sorry. What were you saying, Pujapad Maharaj?
I was just going to mention that it's described that Shyamananda and Narottam, they would regularly hold these massive festivals, which they would take a few months to sort of prepare, and they would initiate. Hundreds of thousands of people would come to these festivals. And you know, they would have, because they were all extremely erudite scholars, and they could all just fluently speak the sweetness of the Shastra. And they would make these presentations and just melt, especially as you're describing, Maharaj, with their brilliant kirtan expertise, because Shyamananda and Srinivas, they were just so brilliant, you know, with their musical presentations. Geniuses. It's a wonderful contemplation that the second generation of preachers, the first is like the Goswamis, and then we come to these three. And really, without them, I don't think we sing their glories sufficiently, or we acknowledge them. We're so caught up with our own little, you know, spreading the mission. But what they did.
One thing is they don't come into Sri Chaitanya Charitabrita.
Correct.
They don't, you know, they don't come into our main, like, prime shastras, so they're not so well understood or so well known.
Correct. We must make Bhakti Ratnakara more popular, because that's where they're really brought out fully. Yeah. And Nityananda Prabhu's preaching in Bengal is also not broadcast really extensively. We get it something through Gauridas Pandit and Gopal Guru, etc.
It's also described there.
Yes, that's true. He really goes overboard with Vrindavan Das Thakur. Yes, beautiful. It's beautiful. These are the real foundational pillars of our movement. Jai Maharaj, beautiful guitar. I appreciated it.
Who wrote Bhakti Ratnakar?
That's
Narahari Chakravarti.
Yeah.
Wow.
There's two Naraharis. There's Narahari Sakha, and then there's Narahari Chakravarti Thakur. And they're about 150 years difference between them.
And Narahari Chakravarti was the disciple of who?
Not sure. Don't know.
But he was after Narottama dasa Thakura. He was coming after.
Yes. Well after. About 100 years after.
Okay. Thank you. I'm going to tell Yashoda to tune in and listen to this all after what he missed, because some really beautiful and very interesting guitar. The second question was, what was the prem that Mahaprabhu left for Narottam in the river Padma? Considering he is a pure devotee, does Narottam not already have all love in his heart?
That's for you, Maharaj.
There's prem and there's prem.
And there's prem again.
Is, what is the prem that Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has? It's not the same as the prem that the followers of the Goswamis can receive. Because Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is Krishna in the mood of Srimati Radhika. So I don't know the technicalities of that, but I don't know what is the prem. I don't know. I have to be honest. But it took him, the thing is that it took him totally outside the realm of any kind of family interactions and all like that. He absolutely lost interest in that. He registered the families there. He left while his father had gone, so he didn't really say goodbye to his father, never saw him again. And said goodbye to his mother and then just left.
He was very young.
Yes, young.
At that time. A little bit like Raghunath in the sense of escaping his family clutches.
Yeah.
At a youthful age.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you so much, Maharaj, for your answers. I think we have a little bit of time, so with Maharaj's permission, I'm going to read out 2 interesting comments from Jiva Pavan Prabhu. Is that okay, Maharaj?
Of course.
So the first, I'm sure some of you have read these on Zoom, but obviously people are listening to the recording, and there's probably around 20 people listening on YouTube and Facebook right now who aren't seeing these comments. So I think it's a nice thing to read them. So I'm presuming this is from Srila Prabhupada. Must be. Letter to Tamal Krishna, Los Angeles, 27th of May, 1970. Regarding your 2 questions, the first, Sri Gadadhar is expansion Radharani, and Srinivas is the expansion of Narad Muni, or in other words, they are the internal and the devotional energy, respectively. The second question, yes, Rupa Goswami is a gopi by the name of Rupa Manjari, but not all the 6 Goswamis of Vrindavan are gopis. The following is a list of some of the principal gopis. The first 8 are called Astasaki. Lalita.
Tarun.
Yes.
I think that there's a typing error there, because it's not Srinivas who's the expansion of Narad Muni, it's Srivas Thakur. Srinivas comes after. Srinivas is who we've just been talking about. It's Srivas Thakur. Perhaps the editors didn't get it right, because Srivas and Srinivas, they sound the same, don't they? But Srinivas is the part of those 3 that we were just discussing, Narottam, Srinivas, and Shyamananda. It's that generation, but who is Narad Muni was the one that I was speaking about in the Hira Panchami.
Srivas Thakur is also.
Srivas Thakur is Narad Muni, not Srinivas.
I think
Maharaj, you concur,
In
Maharaj?
Thakur Bhaktivinoda's Arti song.
Yeah.
In Thakur Bhaktivinoda's Arti song, he's what's that? He's singing Srinivas. So sometimes Srivas Thakur is also called Srinivas.
Okay. And in the Gaura Ganesh Deepika, it's also saying like that too, yes. It gets confusing. That's true, Maharaj.
Either way.
That's true. Yes, okay. Take that back, Tarun. Carry on reading.
No, but it's good to clarify because it is confusing. So thank you.
Yeah, because when you look through the Gaura Ganesh Deepika, it's saying Srinivas. Many times I've tried to look up Srivas Thakur, and they put the name Srinivas instead of Srivas Thakur. But we should know that there are 2 personalities. They're not the same personalities. Srivas Thakur and Srinivas, they are different. But carry on, Tarunji.
Just want to see. Okay. Yeah, just for some clarification before I continue, I think Jiva Pavan Prabhu has said Maharaj is correct, and also when Srila Prabhupada says the 6 are not gopis, he means that they are manjaris. That's interesting.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah, that's yeah, I was a bit confused. So here are the gopis that he lists. Lalita, Vishaka, Suchitra, Champakalata, Ranga Devi, Sudevi, Tunga Vidya, Indureka, Rup Manjari, Rati Manjari, Lavanga Manjari, Ras Manjari, Manjumali, Kasturika. You can sing individually the names of the gopis, there is no harm, but when we sing the prayer, Sri Radha Krishna Padan, Sahagun, Lalita, Sri Vishakanvitams Cha, this includes them all. Wow, that's nice. And then a second comment from Jiva Pavan Prabhu. It is said that the gopis are divided into 5 groups, namely the Sakis, Nitya Sakis, Prana Sakis, Priya Sakis, and Param Preshta Sakis. All these fair complexioned associates of Srimati Radharani, the Queen of Vrindavan Dham, are expert artists in evoking erotic sentiments in Krishna. C.C. Adi Leela 4, chapter 4, verse 217, translation and purport. All the other gopis increase the joy of Krishna's pastimes with Radharani. The gopis act as the instruments of their mutual enjoyment. It is said that the gopis are divided into 5 groups, namely the
That's a
Sakis.
repetition of the same thing.
Okay, I won't read it again. All these fair complexioned associates of Srimati Radharani, the Queen of Vrindavan Dham, are expert. Okay, it is a full repetition. Okay, the Param Preshta Sakis are 8 in number, and in the ecstatic dealings of Krishna and Radha, they sometimes side with Krishna and at other times with Radharani, just to create a situation in which it appears that they favor one against the other. I don't know. It cuts off after that. I don't know if we're meant to read the rest of it. If there's like a limited length to a Zoom comment, it's possible it got cut off.
Okay, beautiful information.
But yeah, I think we'll leave it there.
Hard information.
So we've come to the end, and now is my moment to thank everyone. I especially want to thank Pujapad Nemi Maharaj and Pujapad Judandi Maharaj for coming and giving us all of this time and speaking this Katha that is very, very inspiring. I'm really, really engaging, really such a wonderful opportunity. I've received some personal messages, from people who don't have so much physical association, saying that they really feel part of something and part of a community. So it's really such a beautiful savor, and it's personally, I feel so benefited by what's going on. I can only speak for myself, but I feel so much more absorbed and so much more kind of connected with my Krishna consciousness again for the first time in a long time, actually. In some ways, I feel more connected than I have for a long time. So I'm offering my gratitude to both of you for giving this time, because I know you both have so many commitments. So thank you so much. It's really a pleasure, and such a beautiful opportunity to hear from you both. So thank you so much. And if you want to hear more along these lines, you can hear from 2 other very qualified sannyasis in our Sangha who will be speaking this evening at 6 p.m. Pujapad Vaikanas Maharaj and Pujapad Bhagavat Maharaj at 6 p.m. UK time. You have to convert to your own local time. And then tomorrow we will be back at 10 a.m. to celebrate Bahula Ashtami, even though I think it's occurring today. Where you are. Where we are. So it's the appearance of Sri Radhakund and Shamakund, and we will be visiting Kelanvan, Ramghat, Viharavan, Chiragat, Vatsavan, and Garuda Govinda. Wow, it looks like it's going to be a long day, Maharaj, right?
Not so much really, because Kelanvan is quite a short description, and then Ramghat is a little more detailed, and Pujapad Bhaktivedanta Nemiraj, he'll speak on Shirgat, the stealing of the gopis' clothes, and there'll just be like 3 principal ones. The Viharavan can be quite short, and Chirgat is quite, and Vatsavan is longer, but Garud Govinda is also very short. So actually there's only 3 principal lengthy kathas, we can say, and the other ones can be quite brief. Virhavan, Kelanvan, and Govinda Garud. Garud Govinda. They can be quite brief. I mean, they are always brief when we're on parikramas there. But we spend more time at Ramghat and Chirgat and Vatsavan. Those 3 places are the main places tomorrow. And we're just going to be mentioning the appearance of Radha and Kund and Shyamakund, because we'll be going there directly quite shortly when we go to Govardhan, and we'll speak extensively about the glories of Radha Kund at that time. So we don't need to go into so much detail for Radha Kund and Shyamakund, except just to give them honor and acknowledge their appearance days. Okay.
Thank you. I'm very excited now. Haribol. Okay, so all we have left is some beautiful kirtan from Sriman Ramananda Prabhu, and he can introduce the kirtan he is singing.
Hari Hari Kripa Kori Rakho Nija Pade. I'll quickly, no, I won't read the translation because you can see it, right? So I don't have to do that. Hari Hari Kripa Kori Rakho Nija Pade. Kama Krodha Chaya Jane Loya Phire Nana Sthane Vishaya Bhunjaya Nana Mate Kripa Kori Rakho Nija Pade. Hoya Mayarada Kori Nana Yabhila Tomara Smarana Gelo Dure Arthala Bhai Ashe Kapata Vaishnava Veshe Brahmiya Bulaye Ghare Ghare Kripa Kori Rakho Nija Pade Aneka Dukhera Pare Loye Chile Brajapure Kripa Dora Galaya Bandhiya Daiva Maya Balatkare Khashaiya Se Dore Bhavakupe Dile Dariya Kripa Kori Rakho Nija Pade. Puna Jadi Kripa Kori Ye Janar Keshe Dhari. Puna Jadi Kripa Kori Ye Janar Keshe Dhari. Taniya Tulah Braj Dhame তবে সে দেখিয়া ভালো নতুবা পরাণ গেল কহে দিন দাস নরোত্তমে কহে দিন দাস নরোত্তমে জয় নরোত্তম ঠাকুর নরোত্তম নরোত্তম ঠাকুর নরোত্তম জয় নরোত্তম ঠাকুর নরোত্তম নরোত্তম ঠাকুর নরোত্তম हरि है हरि है हरि है हरि है गौर हरि है हरि है हरि है हरि है. I feel weird not reading translation. I'm sorry, I'm going to do it. O Shri Hari, be merciful and keep me at your lotus feet. 6 adversaries headed by lust and anger are dragging me to various places and causing me to gratify my senses in various ways. I have become a servant of Maya and have various material desires. Thus my remembrance of you has fled far away. Disguised as a Vaishnava, I wander from house to house with the desire to collect money. After I suffered many miseries, you tied your rope of mercy around my neck and brought me to Vraja. But then Maya forcibly untied that rope and threw me into the well of material existence. If you mercifully grasp this person's hair and pull him to the abode of Vraja once again, then he will be saved. Otherwise, his life will end. Thus prays the wretched Narottama dasa. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. That was a really beautiful kirtan. And yeah, no, it was really nice that you read the translation at the end as well. Yeah, it was really nice. So thank you for your kirtan. So that's now we come to the end of our program. Vancha kalpa truvescha kripa sindhu vaevacha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha.